This is the Reate Crossroads, designed by Kirby Lambert. This was a knife that I lusted after when it first came out about a year ago, maybe a little bit more. But I never bought it because I couldn't quite justify the price. This model with the green G10 was $355, I believe. And but I just fell in love with that blade. To me, that is one of the coolest looking clip point blades ever. I love it. But couldn't justify the purchase, and kept watching the stock of these drop in the various knife purveyors I follow until they became almost, there's still some around, but they're the more expensive carbon fiber version, and I'm not a huge fan of carbon fiber. But this knife just always turned me on. And then I sort of forgot about it, and then I was speaking with Epicsnugglebunny on the podcast about reduce and refine, an effort he's going through right now to lessen the size of his collection in lieu of more refined and better knives, basically. And this was one of the ones he was letting go, and he offered it to me at a great price that I couldn't resist, and so I bought it, and I'm glad I did. I love this thing. It is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful knife. It's my first bolster lock. Bolster lock meaning it's like a frame lock, but the locking side, you only really see where the bolster presents itself. It's also my first multi-row bearing knife. It is exceptionally smooth, as might be expected from Reate. And it's also my first knife with a floating backspacer. It's really beautifully produced, and it's a very solid and lovely, lovely knife. When you look inside, you'll see it does not have any milled out sections of the titanium, so it's a little weighty, it's a little solid. And actually, I find these two finger grooves, which are the same size, slightly, this second one is a little bit too big for me, but I'm learning how to hold this, and that might sound like too much of a compromise, learning how to hold a knife, but this knife is comfortable in most positions, except this Filipino grip. When I ride up here, I find that my finger gets caught right there, right in the middle, because these finger trails are pretty big, and they're both the same size, and so ergonomically this could be slightly better, but that is definitely not a deal breaker for me. If I were using this for hard use chores out in the woods or out in the backyard, which would be silly and foolish anyway, I'm sure this would bother me more, but I pretty much take this out to cut, whatever I need to cut in my daily suburban dad life. And of course it's there to get in knife fights and all that, but really it's just a thing of beauty that I'm adding to my collection of now 3 Reates, and I'm letting some others go to make room for this. I'm trying to be less materialistic, guys. I'm trying to be less materialistic, and part of that has to do with quality over quantity, or as Austin says, reduce and refine. And to me, I think it's funny that his reducing is my refining. He's getting rid of this to get some even better knives, and I'm getting rid of some knives that are a little less expensive than this so that I can have this in my collection. It is a very smooth and very beautiful knife. Thank you, Austin, for the screaming deal on this. I love it, and even if I grew to hate it, I'd still keep it in the collection just to remember the interactions and the podcasts I've had with him. He's a great guy, very insightful and interesting, with great taste in knives. So I'm glad to have this one. M390, titanium, G10, kind of semi-custom pivot hardware. And that cool Kirby Lambert logo. Alright, I've already spoken too long. I'm sure you've already clicked off of this video, so You all have a good one.